Have you ever felt like your construction projects are constantly getting bogged down by indecisive clients? Clients who won't make decisions, or they keep changing their mind. Maybe selections are dragging out, change orders keep popping up in the middle of projects, and your team is stuck chasing down answers instead of building. It's frustrating, right? Now, imagine a workflow and a process where clients make their selections up front, changes are minimized, and your projects move smoothly from start to finish, on time and on budget. You're listening to the Construction Leading Edge podcast, where we're all about systematizing your construction business to eliminate chaos, maximize profit, freedom, and impact. My name is Todd Dawalt, and my team and I here at constructionleadingedge.com have helped over 400 construction companies streamline their processes, grow their profits, and take back control of their businesses. Today, we're tackling a question that plagues builders, remodelers, and general contractors everywhere. How do you get clients to make decisions faster and then stick to those decisions? By the end of this episode, here are a few things you're going to walk away with. Number one, the real problem behind customer indecision and why your clients are not the problem. Number two, there's a 2-word phrase that you want to start using with your indecisive clients today. Number three, the Burger King philosophy that you may be taking too far. That's at the root of your problems. And the 3 strategies, you're going to walk away with 3 very practical, proven strategies that you can implement today to get in the driver's seat, to help your clients make faster decisions so you can drive your projects forward. And here's something that might surprise you. We'll uncover why offering too much flexibility in your process could actually be making things worse for you and for your clients. So if you're ready to eliminate decision bottlenecks and delays and the profit bleeds and the chaos that go along with that and create a process that works for you, stick around for this entire episode of the Construction Leading Edge podcast. So I was having a conversation with one of our clients. He's a custom home builder, and they do some large remodels and relatively large company. They're doing projects in the $2 to $3 to $4 million range. And he was sharing some frustrations with me. There were clients who were really slow to make decisions on the front end during what should be the pre-construction phase. They were not completing all of the selections that they should make, so projects were getting started with incomplete information. Then that caused some problems because the team was having to chase down selections. And then the clients were making decisions, in some cases immediately after the contract was signed and the job was in production. And we'll talk about that phrase in a few minutes. They were changing their minds on things like fixtures and doors and selections, sometimes immediately after they were selected. So this was causing some ripple effects in addition to, well, probably the source of the frustration. They had clients who weren't making decisions and then they were changing. So they were indecisive. So some of the ripple effects that our client was dealing with included project managers who were trying to build a project and then they were pushing customers for selections and decisions. And then project managers were having to orchestrate visits to showrooms to get the clients to go pick out what they wanted, get pricing for multiple options, keep track of all these details while the project is going on. This resulted in projects that were, in many cases, stalled out. Just they came to a complete standstill. That affected cash flow because the general conditions costs and the overhead costs were still clicking along. That meant that margins were going down every day that project was stalled out, was eating into the profit margins. The team was pulled into reactive mode. And in some cases, it was all hands on deck. We have to get this project moving, do whatever we got to do to get this customer to make decisions. And that took time away from planning the other projects. And that sets them up for starting off on the wrong foot. Does any of that sound familiar to you? Do you deal with indecisive clients? Do you have projects that are getting started without complete selections? And then are they making changes? You're probably thinking, yeah, but the problem is customers. Todd, it's these customers. They just won't make decisions. These customers just won't stop changing their mind. They think because they're writing a check for $1 million or $2 million or $10 million that they can just change their mind whenever they want to. And we're just stuck with it. It's the nature of the beast. Well, what if the customer is not the real problem? Okay. So by the end of this episode, you're going to walk away with the real problems that need to be solved. And I am here to tell you it's not the customers. We'll talk about the truth, about decisions, and then we'll get into those 3 practical strategies that'll help you get into the driver's seat. So imagine this. Let's talk about the real problems first of all. Picture a very simple Gantt chart project schedule. There are just 2 tasks. The first one is pre-construction, and the second one is construction. Now imagine that they overlap quite a bit. That pre-construction starts a month before construction does, and there's a lot of overlap between pre-construction and construction. And the problem is that overlap, okay? Where there's overlap between what should be pre-construction and construction, there's chaos, right? And that's why it's called pre-construction. It's not called mid-construction. It should be pre-construction. So this is what we call the just enough to start trap. Doing just enough to get the project started. Seems like a good idea. Hey, we got the contract signed. The customer's anxious. They want to get started. They're asking, when can you start? When are you going to get started? You need to get the project started for cash flow purposes. So it's like, it seems like a great idea. Let's just get started and we'll figure all this other stuff out later. Well, that's a trap. That's the just enough to start trap. That's the root cause of a lot of the problems. I talk a lot about the just enough to start trap in other episodes and webinars, so I don't want to spend a lot of time on that. But the problem is the overlap between pre-construction and construction. Pre-construction, or what should be pre-construction activities, are going on way too long into the construction project. Another real problem is taking the Burger King philosophy too far, right? So imagine you walked into a Burger King, you ordered a Whopper, and then you tell the employees how you want them to run the kitchen, right? If you said, you know what, actually, talk to Brandon behind the counter, the 16-year-old kid behind the counter, say, look, Brandon, I want you to use this special gluten-free sourdough bread that my wife saw on Pinterest. I don't really know what it's called or where to get it. In fact, I'm not even sure if it exists. I could have dreamed about it, but I want it. So I want you to use this special bread. Oh, and then don't assemble my Whopper back there. I want you to do it at the table so I could watch. And then I want you to cook the beef patty. Then I want you to bring it out to me so I can get a feel for the toppings that I want. And then I'll select one topping at a time. And how could I possibly know if I want pickles or tomatoes until I see that beef patty and I get a sense for how it's going to be? And let's not even talk about condiments yet. It's too soon. Too soon. We got to take this one step at a time. I'm going to make my decisions one step at a time. That's ridiculous, right? But that's exactly what a lot of home builders and remodelers and general contractors allow their customers to do. Customize the process instead of just the product, okay? Maybe you think you're providing great service by allowing your customers to customize the process. You may be thinking that they want to customize the process. You may be thinking, well, they're spending all of this money. They get to have it their way, right? That's the Burger King philosophy. Have it your way. Maybe you think you have to do that. You have to allow the customer to customize the process and the products, like projects starting without all of the selections, allowing clients to make late-breaking changes. That puts project managers in a position where they're constantly chasing decisions, tracking down pricing all these options, putting out fires, jobs stall out, profit margins shrink, chaos takes over. The reality is, the way it should run is a custom home or remodeling or even a commercial design build project means the customer gets to choose the ingredients. They get to choose a custom design. They get to customize the products, the finishes, the fixtures. They don't get a custom process, okay? A custom project means they get to customize the design and the products. They don't get to customize the process. You establish the process. And in fact, I would go as far as to say your customer wants you to have a process. Sometimes the reason they micromanage the process is they don't think you have a process, and they feel like they have to do that. We'll get back to the episode in just a minute. Think about these 2 questions. First, do you have a clear, actionable plan? In other words, a strategy for your business for the next 12 months. Second, does your team know exactly where you're headed and how you plan to get there? If your business was a road trip, are you just driving aimlessly without a map, hoping you'll get there, or do you have a clear destination and a route? If your business was a football team, are you just running around the field without a game plan, playing pickup ball, or do you have a strategy to win the game, like the pros do? Here's the reality. As the leader, it's your job to create the strategy, and your team is counting on you for that. If you'd like some help with that, for a limited time, you can download our free strategic planning guide. It's the same guide that has helped hundreds of construction business owners gain clarity, set clear goals, and be able to communicate a winning strategy to their teams. In just 60 to 90 minutes, you'll map out your plan for the next year. No more guessing, no more drifting. And it's the first step toward designing the business that you want. In fact, it's the first step in our Systematize Your Construction Business program. If you want to get your hands on that, head over to constructionleadingedge.com/planning, PLANNING, to download your free strategic planning guide. Stop running around in circles. Stop just treading water. Get clarity on the vision and direction of your company. Go to constructionleadingedge.com/planning and download your free strategic planning guide today. So, before we get into solutions about indecisions, let's talk a little bit about decisions. All right. So, let's say that a customer needs to decide on their paint colors. Every building has a paint color, right? How long does that decision actually take? Okay. Are they going home, sitting in a rocking chair, staring at their Sherwin-Williams paint swatches? Are they making lists of pros and cons? Are they writing chat GPT prompts? Help me pick the right paint color, right? Are they spending hours thinking about it? Probably not. How long does a decision actually take? Seconds, right? Like, decisions happen in seconds. So the first thing you have to understand about decisions is decisions don't take a lot of time. They happen in seconds, maybe minutes. The second thing is, think about this. If someone has a week to make that decision, let's say you give a client a week and say, Mr. and Mrs. Client, we need your paint selections in 7 days from today. You have 1 week. What are they doing most of that time? Probably not sitting there ruminating over paint colors. They're not thinking about it. They're thinking, oh, I have a week to make that decision. So they're picking up their kids from school. They're going to work. They're dealing with all these other urgent things. They're thinking about dinner and going to the gym. Maybe they're procrastinating it. Maybe it pops up in their head, hey, we should pick paint colors. I'm like, that's a decision. That takes mental energy. What if we get it wrong? We'll just kick that can down the road. So they procrastinate. They procrastinate until there's a deadline. And this is what's called Parkinson's law, okay? In its original form, Parkinson's law says that tasks expand to fill the time available for their completion. Tasks expand or contract to fill the time available for them. So when it comes to making decisions, Parkinson's law means that the more time you give someone to make a decision, the longer they will take. If you give someone a week to pick their paint colors, they're going to take a week. If you give someone 15 minutes to make their paint color selection, they'll probably get it done in 15 minutes. The more time you give someone, it doesn't help them to make the decision faster, certainly not. And it also doesn't help them to improve the quality of decision. So in many cases, the best thing you can do is compress the time frame for decisions. So how does this affect builders and remodelers and general contractors? Based on my experience, a lot of builders just give clients unlimited time to make selections and decisions, thinking that they're providing a great service, thinking this is a big project. We want to provide a great experience. So we're just going to give them as much time as they need to make these decisions. But in reality, when there's no firm deadline, then decisions just drag out indefinitely, slowing down the project, delaying progress, and creating, frankly, unnecessary stress for everybody involved. So 2 things to understand about decisions. 1, decisions take seconds. 2, decision times will expand to fill the time allotted to them. So let's get to those solutions. All right, here are 3 things you can do, 3 practical solutions that you can put to work today to help your clients make faster decisions and then make fewer changes. All right. So imagine this. If you were to order a custom Mercedes, let's say it's a $200,000 Mercedes, how do you think that process goes? Do you think that you can handle it like a typical custom home project where you would say, hey, I want to buy this car and I just want you to get started with it, and then I'll tell you what I want as I go along. So when it's time to pick the engine, give me a shout and I'll tell you. what I want. And then when it's time to pick the interiors, you just holler at me and you send me a text or something, and I'll get back to you when I'm ready. And then when it's time to pick the exterior paint color, no, it's crazy, right? You need to make all the selections. Here's how the process goes. If you were to order a custom Mercedes, you make all of the selections, interior, exterior, materials, all the options. The order is placed, and then it goes into production. Those are two very important words. Once that order goes into production, changes are not permitted. If they are permitted, if there is a change, your car goes to the back of the line, and then the costs are probably exceptionally high. The later in the process there's a change, it may be impossible to incorporate the change. Or if they can incorporate a change, they probably kick the car to the back of the line, the production line, and then the costs go up dramatically. They may even tell you, look, we have to finish this car. We're going to have to start all over because we can't modify, we can't customize your car once it goes into production. And you need to adopt the same approach, okay? With your, whether it's a kitchen remodel, bath remodel, whole home remodel, custom home, design build, commercial project, make all decisions up front. And then once the project goes into production, there are no more changes, okay? You may want to write those two words down, put them on a Post-it note, start using those words with your clients. Into production. Once the project goes into production, there can be no more changes. We definitely can't meet your schedule dates. Once it goes into production, if you have a change, the costs are going to be egregious, and we may not even be able to incorporate those changes. So into production. Second thing, I'm reminded of when I was running large office remodels for Procter & Gamble in the headquarters in Cincinnati. We would be remodeling spaces that had 300 people working in their cubicles. Imagine having 300 customers in a space, and many of them were convinced that they needed to change things late in their projects. Hey, this paint color's it's just not going to work for me. I don't think the paint color's right. I don't think the carpet is right. I don't think my cubicle walls are high enough. I don't think I have enough drawer space. I don't think I have enough file space. So imagine having 300 customers, all of whom had their own personal opinions about their workspace. So I instituted change deadlines, okay? For example, once we ordered office furniture, which at that time had a 16-week lead time, once we ordered office furniture, there were no changes to office furniture. We were not going to change office furniture. Once that order went into production, there were no changes. And then 60 to 90 days out from substantial completion, there were no more changes, period, that could be incorporated, okay? So what I would tell people is as we approached this change deadline, let's say it was 90 days before substantial completion, I would let them know at 120 days, look, at this point, no more changes. Like when an airplane lands, as it's landing, there's a point, where it has to make a go or no go decision. And you have to land the plane, or you have to pull up and circle back around. And it's the same way with a project. As a project approaches completion, you have all of these other factors that have to be taken care of. There's permits, substantial completion, the financial closeout. You have all these contracts with subcontractors. They have to get paid. In some cases, there's a retainage that has to be paid out. You have to land the plane. So I would tell people, look, at 90 days prior to substantial completion, no more changes. We cannot incorporate any more changes. If it's an emergency, if it's something that it's a life safety issue or is required to get a certificate of occupancy, we're going to do that, but no more changes. And if you have a change that comes up after that 90-day deadline, we can do that, but it'll have to be a separate contract. So it's not no, we can't do the work. It's we can do that, but it'll have to be a separate contract because we have to get this project, we have to finish production on this project. Okay? We'll get back to the show in just a second. If you're a construction business owner, let me ask you this. Are you feeling trapped in your business? Maybe you can't take a real vacation without being on call 24/7. Or when you finally do step away, you know there's going to be a mess waiting for you to clean up when you get back. Or maybe the constant stress of putting out fires and carrying all the responsibility and making all the decisions is keeping you up at night. and you're worried about losing a good employee, or it's affecting your health, or worse, it's keeping you from being present with your family. What if instead you could finally step back from the day-to-day chaos, take back control of your time, and build a business that runs profitably and smoothly even when you're not there? If that sounds good, I'd like to invite you to book a free business evaluation call with my team. In just one call, we'll help you get crystal clear on three things: the root cause of the biggest problems in your business, the goals and vision you want to achieve for your company and your life, and we'll map out a personalized roadmap you can follow to make that vision a reality. Look, we've helped hundreds of construction business owners systematize their business so they can work less, earn more, and actually enjoy their lives. And we can help you too. But the first step, it's up to you. Head over to constructionleadingedge.com/apply to book your free call, or just click the link in the show notes. Don't wait until it's too late. Take the first step toward freedom today. All right, let's get back to the show. So change deadlines. What this might look like for you, you're thinking, well, how does that work if I'm doing small projects? Well, if you're doing small projects that are, say, 30 days or 60 days long, the deadline might be once the contract is signed, it goes into production and there are no more changes. Could be that simple for small projects. For a custom home or a commercial building, you might break it up into a couple of phases and say, look, once the permit set of plans is approved, no more structural changes. No changes to the exterior, the floor system, doors, windows, roof. No structural changes after the permit set of plans is approved. After a certain date, no more changes to the MEP systems, mechanical, electrical, plumbing. And then at a certain date, I would recommend 60 to 90 days, or maybe it's a milestone, no more changes, period. Once drywall starts, no more changes, period. And you institute that change deadline and say, we can't incorporate any more changes after this date. If there's something that comes up, it will have to be a separate project. And what I found was when you told people that, in many cases, what happened is once they moved into the space, they would realize they didn't really need that thing anyway, and they were okay. But by telling them, giving them firm deadlines by which they had to make decisions, setting that expectation, and then telling them, yes, we can do this after the deadline. However, it will have to be a separate project. They don't react as negatively. And in many cases, that thing they thought they wanted, it just went away and it just took care of itself. The third strategy reminds me of this should probably be first on the list of practical strategies. A few years ago, I was doing a deep dive with a semi-custom builder in Virginia, and they were building about 50 semi-custom homes per year in the $700,000 to $800,000 range. And we were talking about their pre-construction process and their sales process. And I kept hearing people talk about electrical walkthroughs. And they said, we'll do these electrical walkthroughs. They take 3 to 4 hours. They're just brutal. And we spend 30 minutes talking about electrical, and then we're walking through with the customer, and then they get into all of this other stuff. They have all of these questions, and it's a nightmare. How do we make these electrical walkthroughs smoother? And I was reminded of what the great management expert W. Edwards Deming famously said, which is, quote, "There is nothing worse than doing efficiently that which should not be done at all." There is nothing worse than doing efficiently that which should not be done at all. So in this group session, I said, what if we eliminated the electrical walkthrough? And everybody in the group looked around at each other and they said, hell yeah, that would be amazing. Why are we even doing this anyway? So they decided on the spot to eliminate the electrical walkthrough and replace it with actually having electrical plans that they would approve. So the strategy here is to look at your process and eliminate the process, or eliminate the parts of your process that are causing the most problems. So if electrical walkthroughs with a client are a source of consternation and wasted time and chaos, then replace them with electrical plans and lighting plans and have the customer sign off on those. Another strategy within the strategy here is to pick one supplier or showroom that your customer can select their fixtures from. Instead of saying, go pick your plumbing fixtures from anywhere on the planet. Narrow that, so eliminate options and tell them, here's who we work with, just go here and pick your fixtures. You can do the same thing with manufacturers. Instead of saying, hey, pick your windows, whatever you want, you go pick your windows, wherever you want. Made in China, fantastic. Bought from Amazon, get them on Temu.com. The world is your catalog. Instead of doing that, pick one manufacturer for windows, for example, and say, we use Pella windows or we use Marvin windows. You can select your options from there. Okay. So eliminate options. Sometimes a lot of the chaos and indecision is self-created because we're giving clients lots of decisions to make. They're being overwhelmed by decisions that they don't really want to make. So just eliminate those decisions and make selections for them. Okay? So think about this. Picture this scene. When you start a project, you have a clear scope of work. You have all of the selections. You have pricing. Therefore, you know the cost of what you're building. You know what's going to be built and how much it will cost. Maybe you even have your subcontractors and suppliers all selected before you start. Your project manager, superintendent, lead carpenter has all of the information they need, and they can just focus on building the project. Your phone's going to ring a lot less because there are fewer fires to put out. Therefore, you're going to have more time to work on what you want. Think about your customer experience. Your customers can just enjoy the build process because the decisions are all made. There's no last minute decisions that have to be made. They can just enjoy the process. You're going to finish projects faster with fewer mistakes. There'll be fewer profit bleeds, happier clients, leading to more referrals, right? So I'm curious, what's going to be the best part for you when you can get all of the decisions made up front, all of the selections made, when you can anchor your clients to this expectation of, hey, once we go into production, either no more changes or the changes are going to be really expensive and cause huge delays. Imagine what it will be like to be able to anchor your clients' expectations on change deadlines. What's going to be the best part for you? Just think about that. And then what part of the process are you thinking about eliminating? What's the equivalent of the electrical walkthrough that you're like, geez, we should axe that immediately. This is what's killing us. And then what are you going to spend more time on when you reclaim this time that's spent currently putting out fires and driving decisions and dealing with the ripple effects of this chaos? What will you do? Let's say you get 4 hours a week back. In many cases, it's a lot more based on what our clients have experienced. But if you were to get 4 hours a week back from that, what would you spend that time on that would have the most impact for you? Could be at work, could be away from work. I'm just curious, what would you do with that time? So to recap, 3 strategies that will help you help your clients, like the Jerry Maguire, help me, help you, right? This is what you're saying to your clients. Help me, help you. So you want to help your clients be more decisive, help your clients stick to their decisions. So 3 things you can do. Number 1, make all selections before the project goes into production. Use that word. Number 2, establish change deadlines and anchor your clients to that. Share those deadlines early and often. Establish those change deadlines. And then number 3, eliminate decisions. What can you eliminate from your process that you are currently trying to do efficiently and it just should not be done at all? Hope that helps. Stick around. I've got a couple of things to share with you before we go. Hey, it's Todd. Before you go, if you own a construction business and you know you need to put the right systems in place, whether it's to be able to scale up, to be able to take a proper vacation, step away from day-to-day operations, if you know you need to make it more profitable, or even prepare it for a future sale, if you know you need to make some changes in your business, there are really only 3 options. I want to clarify this for you. Option 1 is do nothing. Keep doing the status quo. Same inputs, same results. Keep doing the same thing that you've been doing. Option 2 is to DIY it, to do it yourself. You can try to reinvent the wheel, piece together solutions from books and podcasts, hope that trial and error gets you where you want to go. In my experience, this is the path of most resistance. Or there's option 3, which is to find a proven system that delivers the results you're looking for. Think about it. Sort of like when you sign up for software for project management or bookkeeping, you probably didn't try to code your own software, right? You found a system that works. So that's a proven system that gets you the results you're looking for. Well, if you're ready to systematize your construction business, we've helped hundreds of construction business owners implement our proven processes, including our Nail the Handoff pre-construction system that works for home builders, remodelers, commercial general contractors, and trade contractors like electricians, plumbers, roofers. The first step is simple. Schedule a free business evaluation call with my team. Just click the link in the show notes to book your call. On that call, you'll walk away with clarity on the hidden root causes of your biggest challenges. You'll learn about the pitfalls that you want to avoid as you move forward with your business, and you'll walk away with a customized roadmap that you can follow to get where you want to go. This is not a sales pitch, okay? There's no pressure. We may not even talk about working together. You may not even hear about our program. This is all about evaluating your business. It's going to be the most valuable hour that you've spent working on your business in a long time. So don't wait. Click the link in the show notes to book your free business evaluation call now. And the last thing, if you've been enjoying this podcast and getting value out of it, I've got a quick favor to ask. Could you take a moment and leave a 5-star rating, maybe a short review on the platform that you're listening or watching on? It really helps the podcast grow. It lets other people know what to expect. Plus, I love to hear your feedback. It means a lot to me. Thanks so much. My name is Todd Dawalt from constructionleadingedge.com, and I'll catch you on the next episode.